Okay, we will continue the things we have left last time, which is the statistical analysis. So please open up the file, the workshop file, L9. Still, we are in L9, lecture 9, right? Here. Okay. So we will talk about the analytics pane. Actually, we have used some of them before in our previous graphs, but right now we will just focus on this pane, what it gives us. So we have seen about statistic before, right? Adding statistic in the visual can help us to get more insight about the data and the decision that we should make. So Tableau itself also provides some easy drag and drop feature for us in analytics pane. So analytics pane is beside the data pane here. We have used this before. So in analytics pane, there are many things that we can do, like the statistical summary, the models, and we can just drag and drop to our view or our visualizations. Okay, so let's try most of them. Okay, I think we should cover most of them here. So we will talk about how do we use the summary statistic, like a descriptive statistic in Excel. We will make a histogram plot and box plot. Also do some distribution bands, bullet graphs, do trend analysis, forecasting, and finally clustering or cluster analysis. Okay, so let's do the first one. For the first one, we have in the sheet guided stats 1. So right now we have some data points for you because we have a scatter plot between sales and profit, and this point, each point is each segment. So this is consumer, this is corporate, and this is home office. Okay, so for the guided stats sheet, I also have this caption. You can see that if you cannot follow my guideline, you can just take a look at this caption. Okay, and this caption will tell you what you need to do and what is the answer in each statistic sheet. Okay, so right now it is colored by the average discount. Okay, the higher discount, the red it is, and also the segment for the shape, right? Okay, so once you get this page, we will try to answer the key difference between profitable and unprofitable customer. Right now, we did not get the detail of each customer yet. We will do that later on, but I will make sure you already open up this workbook already. So once you open this workbook, just type 1 for me. Thank you. Okay, now so we'll try to separate the data points into customer details. Therefore, what we need to do is go to customer here. Okay, it's customer name, right? Customer name, we will separate the data points into each point by each customer, because what we want to analyze is that what are the difference between profitable and unprofitable customer, and how to differentiate between different customer, that is customer name. Guys, or if we have customer ID, that's okay too, but customer ID may not tell the information, right? But choosing customer name may have some glitch, may have some error problems if customer can have the same name. Think about like David Thomas, right? There should be many of the repeated names that's name David Thomas, for example. So let's say we don't have that problems, then we just put customer name into detail card here. Okay, now so once we put customer name into detail, that means each point, and you can see if you hover on the point, each point is one customer. So this is the profit sum profit and some sales of this customer. It also shows the discount because we also put the discount in color, guys. So how do we see and get the key difference to compare between these profitable and unprofitable? You can see that profitable customers are those above this line, right? These people are profitable customer, and these people are unprofitable customers, right? So you can see that if you just use your eyes to take a look, what the things that you can see is that the customer above the line, above the zero line, has discount of color. I can see maybe not that red, maybe blue, more blue than red. But for customer under the line, there are more of the orange and red, right? So it possibly means that the discount may come to be the explainer of why it's profit or not profit. But we can use also statistic to help us accentuate or know the real difference using statistics. So how can we do that? We can go to the worksheet menu. You can go to the worksheet menu, and then we'll choose show summary. Worksheet menu. Okay, show summary. Once we click show summary, on the right hand side, you can see a little guide. Okay, so let me move it a bit. The card here that gives you the descriptive statistic of the data points you have in your view. So right now you can see there are 800 data points. That means probably we have 800 customers here. And some of these may not be meaningful. For example, this count cannot use sum, right? So this sum is actually cannot be used. So we can use average. So for sure, you can see that overall, the discount average is 16. The maximum is 70%, median at 15. Right? And then this is the statistic for the profit and for the sum, for the sales. Okay. So if we use our mouse to select, for example, I select those above the zero line here, you can see the statistic has changed, right? You can see that if I choose only customer, profitable customer, the discount average is only 13%, right? Only 13%, right? Average profit is 800 something. But if I choose the customer below the zero line, you can see average discount is 24%, right? And of course, the profit is minus or negative. Okay, so you can use this, we call it like statistical summary card to help us summarize things, and so help us know exactly what happens in our data points. Okay. Actually, there are more statistics than this sum average min max, but it's not open by default. You can open more by clicking on this drop down. You can see we can add standard deviation. We can add first quartile, third quartile, skewness. Remember skewness? We talk about skewness, right? And also excess kurtosis. So this is skewness and kurtosis, or excess kurtosis, is for take a looking at whether our distribution is skewed or not. Okay, we talk about this, right? So you can see that who's the most profitable one? Tamara Chan, right? Tamara Chan gives the most profit. Tamara Chan is from corporate segment, and Tamara Chan only get 12% discount. What about this guy? This guy is Cindy Stewart. Cindy Stewart get 20% discount from consumer, but her, maybe her, no, not his, her sales of 5,000 give us negative profits of 6,000. So why do we need to keep this situation going on? We keep selling Miss Cindy, but we don't get any profit back. Okay. So in summary, this is what we get from the summary statistic, the worksheet here. Right? We can display a lot of statistic for our visualization. So any visualization can be can use this summary statistic, just that you open it or didn't open it. Okay, so if you get just like mine, just type 2. Okay, so next we will do a statistic graph, which is the first graph should be histogram, right? When you do univariate analysis, you need to actually, when you explore your data, you should explore the distribution of all of your numerical variables using histogram and or box plots. So that means you can choose to use Tableau to explore the data. Once you get your data, you may not even need to use Excel at all. You can just go ahead and go to Tableau and then use Tableau to visualize this statistical graph for you. So in order to take a look, because if we use the Superstore data, it will all be skewed one, and we do not see anything. So we will move to the second data set, which is the what's called the world indicator data set. So guided stats to this blue thing, right? That means we will use the world indicator. So let's move to this spread of life expectancy. We will take a look at the histogram for this data field. And first, we need to make sure that we choose world indicators, not sample superstore here. Right? So here, make sure you choose this one. If your monitor is small, this could be a drop down, not a selector like mine. Okay, just choose this. Once you choose this, the data pane will show you all the data fields from this data set. And so what we need to do is we want to go to find the life expectancy, which should be in health. Yeah, life expectancy male. And then how do we create histogram? We will use show me. Okay, so go to show me and click histogram here. So for histogram, you can see use measure. So just click, choose life expectancy here first, right? And then go to show me and then click histogram, double click. Yeah. Okay, this is what we get. So the spread has and the bin it has been chosen. You can see that in your data pane there is one data field created called life expectancy male bin. Okay, so it's like how do we separate the life expectancy number into bins. Okay, so you can see that the life expectancy is somehow skewed, right? Is it left skew or right skew? Just type the answer. Is this left skew or right skewed? Left or right? My question คำถามครูก็คือว่าlife expectancy histogram เนี่ยหน้าตาแบบเนี้ยมัน left เขาเรียกว่า left skew หรือว่า left เรียกว่า right skew right ไม่ใช่ right right skew left หรือ right จำได้ไหมleft หรือ right ค่ะไม่มีใครรู้เหรอเดาก็ได้มีถามพานีมาบอกว่า left left เพื่อนๆเห็นด้วยไหมน่าจะเป็น left เนาะก็คือ left tail is quite long ไหม long tail on left hand side this is the indicator of left skew most of the data clutter over right hand side ก็คือคนทั่วไปเนี่ยจะอยู่ฝั่งขวาคือเนี่ยแถวๆเนี้ยก็คือแสดงว่า life expectancy คืออะไร life expectancy คือไลฟ์สแปนก็คือบอกว่าคนเราจะตายโดยเฉลี่ยอายุเท่าไหร่ใช่ปะอันนี้เขาก็จะเป็นข้อมูลเก็บของแต่ละประเทศในโลกนะคะดังนั้นโดยเฉลี่ยเนาะก็สังเกตว่าประมาณเท่าไหร่70กว่าใช่ปะ70กว่าถึง75นะคะใครอยู่เกินนั้นก็ถือว่าเป็นคนมีบุญละกันนะได้อยู่เกินaverage life expectancy แต่ว่าต้องทำความเข้าใจนี้ก็คือว่าdata ที่อยู่ใน Tableau เนี่ย World Indicator is only till 2012 I think so it's not updated that means it doesn't have this 10 years data but people it's getting more late to die right not die at young but die at old so I think right now the average life expectancy should shift into the right hand side even more left skewed than this one that shows you here okay it should be in sometime I think 75 up already for the median and the average okay so you can see that in Tableau it shows the size of the bin for you, right? But actually you can also configure on your own through the new created data field here. So if you go to this field that just created and then click edit, right? It open up the dialog for just this type of field, which is called a bin. Okay, so you can see that right now the size of the bin is 4.15, which is automatically configured for you. But you can choose, for example, if I choose 2, what happened? Okay. 2 will be smaller size bin, right? So it gives you more detail that, okay, so actually 70 to 72 has the most frequent number that people die, right? This average age. Okay, I can change to probably, let's see, you can like try which one tells you more with the stories that you have, right? 10 will be coarser. Okay, so it will be like 70 until 80 that has the most frequent number of average life expectancy. Okay, so you can also go back to the default one using this suggest bin size, right? Suggest bin size. So how do they get this suggest bin size? I have that in my slide. So suggested bin size is calculated using this theoretical formulation 3 plus log 2n times log n. Okay, and then they get this 4.15. Right? Now we will now put the life expectancy into box plots, but we will do box plot to see the difference between life expectancy of each region. So we have Africa, Asia, Europe, okay, Middle East, Oceania, and America. So we want to answer the questions whether the life expectancy of male, okay, this is for male, varied among continents or regions, and are there any outliers in each region or not using box plot. This is the good thing about box plot is that you can identify outliers. Okay, so goes to guided stats 3, and then I choose region, country region. Okay, make sure you choose well indicator again, and then choose country region and this life expectancy male. Okay, the original data field life expectancy male. And then again, show me have box plot for you here. Okay, double click that box and whisker plot. Okay, and it should be something like this. I need to add region too. This country region is actually country, right? So I need to put region in columns. I put region in columns. And what do I get is separate each column to be region and entire view. Okay. Again, let me do that again. Okay, I click country region and then control click life expectancy male. And actually I can also control click region at the same time, or I can do that later, and then go to show me and then choose or double click the box and whisker plot. Okay, that's what I get, and then just entire view here. Okay, and you can see that life expectancy usually start be above 40, right? So actually we can shrink the y-axis here. Why we can shrink? It's not a bar chart. If it's a bar chart, we are not recommended to shrink the axis, but this one should be okay because remember, p-attentive attribute is not length. Okay, so we can right click on the y-axis and then edit axis. Okay, and once we edit axis, we can choose the custom one and then fix the start to be 40, for example. So what we get like this should be very clear to answer our questions. Okay. Once you get this, please type 3 for me. Thank you. Okay, so let's answer the question. Is the life expectancy of male varied among continents? Answer is yes. You can see that people in Africa, right, have shorter lifespan, right? Median is at around 553, 54, right? While others are up, right, to 65, 70 something. So the highest one is Europe, right? Europe. And also, these are quite about 70, right? 60 or something, or 70. Middle East and the Americas. Okay, but we also see some outliers. You can see that there are outliers in Middle East, which is Yemen. Okay? Yemen is probably underdeveloped country in Middle East as compared to those Iran, Kuwait, right? Qatar. What we have the war here. And also two outliers, lower side of the outliers, right? From America, Guyana, and also Haiti, which is very low developed countries in the America continent. So they don't separate between the North American, Middle American, or South American. So every American are here. Okay. You can also change the color or the style of your box plot by clicking on the box plot and choose format. Okay, you can see that style. You can choose glass style, classic style, or classic with dual fill, like this, right? Or modern style, or fill color, different color, like this, right? Okay. Something like this, whether you want border or you don't want one, something like that. Whiskers should be which color. And this is what you can configure or format your box plot. Okay. Now move on to the next one. So right now we are doing unique variate analysis. Now we want to do something that have some reference, have some target value or range of values that we can reference to. So in Tableau, they provide us with the reference line. If you only have a line to compare, or just a simple line, or if it's a band that is shaded region, you can do that using the reference band. So it will help you highlight the area that falling in that band. Or if the band is a standard one, we call it reference distribution. So this reference distribution is reference band, but the band is standardized, like percentiles, quantiles, or standard deviation. Okay. What you need to do is the terms of table, pane, and cell, which we already talked about when we talk about table calculations last week, right? You know what is table? Table means the whole thing, right? Pane means if you have the categorized category, which give you small graph in the big graph, that is called pane, right? And the exact each, for example, each bar chart, each bar is the cell. So we need to also know the scope of the reference line or reference band that we want to build upon, right? So in this graph, we want to answer the question using the reference distribution. We try to come up with whether we know which year experienced the most monthly variance in sales. So if you have some question like this, like which one is the most variance อะไรที่มันผันผวนที่สุดใช่ไหมพวกเนี้ยมันก็เป็น indicator to tell us that we might need to take a look at the distribution of that numbers. So for in this case, we want to do distribution by year. And in the year, we want to take a look at monthly sales, right? We want to take a look at monthly because our question asks about the most monthly variance. That's why we would take each bar chart, in this case, stack bar chart, to be each month. And then for each month, it becomes a year. So a year is a pane. In this case, the scope is like this. This is sale. And this is pane. And the whole thing is table. So in this case, we want to see which year has the most variance, right? So we will try to differentiate between year. So that means we want to get the reference distribution for each year separately. That means we want to choose the scope of the pane. Okay, so first go to guided stats 4, right? Guided stats 4. Right now we have year for you already. We have category filter here. We will add another order date so that we get monthly. Okay, so make sure we choose sample superstore. Monthly order date. Okay, to column again. And then we don't want quarter, we want month to be discrete. Month discrete. Month discrete. And then we want sales to be row. So I choose sale. Like this. It will give us, of course, line chart. Okay. But we want a bar chart. So we will change the marks to bar chart. And then we want bar chart to be stacked by segment. Okay, so we go to segment and choose color like this. Okay. Again, okay. We put order date in columns and change to month discrete. And then put sales on, sales rows. And then change to bar chart. And then put segment for the stacked bar chart like this. I will then adjust these two entire view so that it will not have scroll bar. Probably I will just sometimes the month doesn't show, right? Because otherwise it probably will overlap each other. But that's fine. We don't actually try to differentiate between each month. Now take a look at the analytics pane here. We will use the reference distribution or distribution band. Reference band. Actually, we can use the reference band, the same thing. As I said, actually, distribution band is reference band that the distribution is standardized. Okay. So we can put distribution band and the scope is by year, which is pane. So put distribution band in pane. And then just release. Okay. Right now, the default is 60 by 80% average, right? We can change in the dialog box. So I want to change to quarter, quantile, and the number of tie is 4. Okay, that's correct. Okay. And then probably we can give the label a more meaningful label. So let's say we want custom label here. And then I will just choose, what do I need? Okay, I need computation. and then colon, then space, and then value. This. I choose custom, choose quantile fourth. Quantile fourth is quartile. Right? Custom, and then add the computation colon value here so that it shows the exact value of the upper quartile, median, and lower quartile. And then click OK. Okay. So once you get this, please type 4 for me. Okay, thank you. We can format the numbers to be shorter. Like in my slide, I just use the K, right? So I can just right click on the label here and then choose format. And then the numbers here, reference line label, right? I can just choose number custom. And then display unit is K with prefix $sign. This without decimal place, let's say. No need to have more detail. Just 0 decimal place, right? And thousands, and then prefix is $sign. Okay, I choose here, right? Numbers. Okay, so now we can try to answer the question, which year experienced the most monthly variance in sales? Which year? How do we answer that? We take a look at the width of the band. If the band is wide, if the band between lower quartile and upper quartile is wide, that means we get the most variance, monthly variance in sales. So which one? Should be 2025, right? It's quite close between 2022 and 2025, but if you just quickly subtract the number 84, 45, and 61, 28, right? It should be this one, a little bit wide than this one. Right. So overall, if you don't separate by category, 2025 has the most variance monthly in sales. We have this slider to take a look in each category. So if you separate by category, what happens? Furniture, for furniture, very obvious, 2025 is the most variance one, right? The most variance one, I mean, you can see that there are months that are very, very low and months that are very, very high. This is very variance, right? For office supply, again, 2025. For technology, the situation is different. For technology, 2022 is the most variance one. Okay, so you can see that, okay, maybe the sales of technology are quite stable as we approaching the latest years. Okay, but overall, okay, the last year has the most variance one. Okay. Now, the next graph is a very specialized graph called bullet graph. What is bullet graph? Okay. So bullet graph has bullet. What does it mean by bullet? Bullet ก็คือลูกปืนใช่ปะthat means มีอะไรที่มันเกี่ยวกับปืนคืออะไร มันมี target อยู่target อยู่ In the bullet graph, which is designed by our guru named Stephen Field, is actually bar graph that replace meter and gauge in the dashboard and report using just bar graph with some progress towards the goal or the performance. That means the goal or the performance will become reference line in our graph. Okay, so it's not an unusual bar graph, but it's a bar graph with some shades to tell you the progress towards this reference line, which is the goal. Okay, so the goal will be the reference line. And the shade will tell you whether our exact number has reached the goal or not, or if it's not reached the goal, is it 60% or 80%? This is 60%, this is 80%, whether it is almost reached the goal, how far it is from reaching that goal. This is what is called the bullet graph. So the bullet graph is very useful for telling you whether you have a goal and whether you already reach it or how far it is from reaching that goal. Okay, so this is the things that you can choose bullet graph for. So go to guided stat 5. Okay, so how do we get the bullet graph? We want to have the bullet graph for this. Actually, we need some calculated field. We want to see which category are the last year sales performance exceed the year before. So it means that our target or our goal is last year sales. ก็คือคำถามตัวนี้เนาะก็คือว่าอยากจะรู้ว่าแคตตากรีไหนที่สามารถทำรายได้ยอดขายเนี่ยนะคะเกินกว่าปีที่แล้วแสดงว่าใน bullet graph เนี่ยสิ่งที่ได้คือไอ้ตัว reference line ที่เป็น goal เนี่ยคือ sales ของปีที่แล้วดังนั้นมันก็ give us requirement that we need to have calculated field that calculate last year sales. Okay, so we have that already for you. ครูก็มีตัวนี้ให้แล้วคือจริงๆแล้วมันมากับ sample superstore แหละมันจะอยู่ใน year over year sales compare ตัวนี้ latest year sales นี่ตัวนี้นี่คือ calculated field. Let's take a look at this calculated field. This calculated field ทำอะไรใช้ if year order date equal year max ก็คือบอกว่าคือ latest year คือ max ใช่ป่ะ max ของ order date ตัวเนี้ยตัว max เนี่ยนะคะแล้วก็เครื่องหมายตัวเนี้ยเขาเรียกว่าเป็น fix level of detail เนาะซึ่ง level of detail เนี่ยเดี๋ยวเราจะไปคุยกันในตอนที่เราพูดถึง lecture RFM เพราะ RFM เนี่ยเราจะคำนวณ level of detail ค่อนข้างเยอะแต่ว่าเอาง่ายๆคือดูตรงนี้ก็คือ max order date ตัวเนี้ยจะคำนวณว่าปีล่าสุดวันที่ล่าสุดที่เลทสุดในตัวข้อมูลเราเนี่ยคือวันที่เท่าไหร่แล้วตัว year เนี่ยจะดึงเอาเฉพาะ year มาเพราะฉะนั้น if ตัวนี้ก็คือเป็นตัวเช็คว่าถ้าปีที่อยู่ใน row record นั้นเนี่ยตรงกับปีล่าสุดก็จะเอาเซลล์ตัวเลขตัวนั้นเนี่ยมาเป็นค่าของคอลัมน์ตัวใหม่คือ calculated field คือได้คอลัมน์ตัวใหม่ตัวนี้ขึ้นมาก็คือ latest year sale นี่คือสูตรของมันก็คืออันนี้ดังนั้นพอ we have latest year sale we have year before sale right year before sale similar equation year before sale tells you that if the year of the record order date equals the max year minus 1 ก็คือ last year นั่นเอง then you put the sales in this column of field so if you go to data source you can see this if I come to data source and browse through this you can see that where is this? Let me show you it's probably not right don't think so yeah it's Okay, it doesn't show you oops, because it's probably thought that it's not the low level detail. So show hidden views. Is it show it? No, still not right. Okay, that's fine. It doesn't show you the calculated field here, but what you can imagine, right? You can see that if that sales is of the latest year, it will have this column in. It has this number in latest year sale. If it's not, it will not have. It will become now. Right? And also I have latest year, so calculate which year is the latest one. Right? Using max order date. Okay. So first we will put category and segment, right? Segment to be columns and category to be rows. Okay, segment to be columns and category. Category. That's category. Yeah. To be row. Okay. And then I need sales, right? I need sales. Actually, I can use the show me here. There will be this bullet graph, okay? So I will choose latest year sale and also year before sales. Right? And then show me. And then bullet graph here. Okay. And then it just put back segment. Okay. And just entire view. And then I want to have different colors for each category. So I put category in color. This. Right. So once you get this, just type 5 for me. Thank you. Okay, again. You choose latest year sales and years before sales. And then goes to show me. And then choose this bullets graph. Okay. And then put segment back to columns. And then entire view. And then category to color. So how do they know which one it should be the goal, which one should be the current numbers? It will choose it for us, but if they choose it wrong, you can just change, right? So which between this year before sale and this year sale. So right now, I think, right, it is average year before sale, okay? It is average, but it's actually the aggregation is the same with the sum. Okay, it's actually not average at all. It shows you average, but it's actually not average. But we can change this label to be the correct one. So just right click the reference line and then edit. Okay. And then here, right, it is sum. It's not different between whether you sum or you average, because when you put this, it already sum, because the value is already sum the year before sale. It's already one number. So one number sum or one number average doesn't make sense at all. So you choose sum, you choose average, it's the same thing. It's just that if you choose sum here the label will show you the sum นะซึ่งมันควรจะต้องเป็น sum ไง okay we can add optionally we can add two tip to tell the audience which is the lattice year so we can put the lattice year in two tip we put the lattice year in two tip once we put into tip you can see that if we hover our mouse over our graph it will show you that okay the lattice year is 2025 so you can see in this case like consumer furniture latest year sale is 111k and the year before sale is 100k so we reach the goal and goes above the goal about 11k right so you can see that the bar chart exceed the reference line here so most of them exceed the reference line right only few of them is not so my question is in which category the last year sale performance exceeds that of the year before? The answer is almost all of them, except which one? Except furniture in segment corporate, except technology in segment consumer, except office supply in segment home office. Okay, but these two is already almost close to the target. Just a little bit. So this is 80%. You can see the first shade is 80%. So 80% is 88k. This one we get 108k already. So it's over 80%, but it doesn't reach the year before sales yet. Almost. So this two almost, but this one. Furniture for the segment corporate, right? You can see that it only reached about 80%, right? So 61k compares to 77k is almost 80%. Okay, so bullet gap is very useful like this. Okay, next, guided stat 6. We want to do a regression, actually the trend line. I think you already know this, right? So we can just go to this. Okay, let's have you guys put the scatter plot like this. So in my scatter plot, each point here is the profit and sales of each category. I think segment, right? So each one is each segment and each category. So for example, the blue one is furniture, right? Furniture of each segment. Okay, and also do we have year? Okay, and year ก็คือ1จุดก็คือ1ปี1 segment แล้วก็1 category อย่างเช่นจุดนี้อาจจะเป็นปี2022 category furniture segment consumer อย่างนี้เป็นต้นนะคะให้ได้ scatter plot แบบนี้ก่อนให้เวลา3 นาทีนะคะแล้วหรือใครจะลองใช้ analytics pane to add trend line ก็ได้นะคะ to 28 so to 31 and you will get that Okay, let's take a look at how do we do this. I will put make sure it's for example superstore. I will put segment. Right, I will put segment. I will use what do I use? A segment in detail. Okay, segment in detail. And category in color. Right, it will automatically separate your data points to category and segment, and then order date year. Order date year to what? Detail. Okay. Right. And order date year. Make sure it's year, not month. Okay, and then just entire view here. Right? And I can change the marks. So usually when you do scatter plot, we usually use the shade that, right? The solid circle, right? So use circle. Okay. Circle. Change the mark type to circle. Right. Now we will add the trend line. Okay, so the easiest one is go to analytics pane and then from trend line. You can choose the type of the trend line so it support linear, logarithmic, exponential, polynomial. It will not choose it for you. You need to, according to your data points assumption, which one is the most appropriate one. So in this case, I would just choose linear because I think that the higher the sale should be, the higher the profit, right? It should be somehow linear, okay? So I choose linear. Okay, and this is the three graph we get for each category because we have colored by category. You can see if you hover on the trend line, it will show you the equation, profit equal blah, 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 times sales plus blah, 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 right? And it will also report two numbers for you, which is R squared and p-value. So these two will tell you which line fits, which line doesn't quite fit, right? Using R squared. So R squared tells you, right? Let me take a look at the slide. R squared tells you how fit the line is to your data points. So it assesses your model whether it's suitable for the data that you have, and R squared measure on scale from 0 to 1, but R squared can be negative, okay? Closer to 1 means the most effective one, the most fit one. So we can also call R squared as the goodness, right? It's a measure of the goodness of fit. So R squared is like exam score that tells you whether this graph works. If it's close to 1, it works. If it's close to 0 or negative, it doesn't work. P-value is the measure of significance for the trend line. So usually we will use the threshold of 0.05 or less to be considered significant. And the smaller, the better, right? The smaller, the more significant the model is. So if we have large p-value, it indicates that the trend that we get, the trend, which is what we get from the trend line, that actually may be by chance, not the factors in the model. So p-value is like line factor detection ก็คือเหมือนกับ p-value เหมือนเป็นเครื่องตรวจสอบว่าจับเท็จอะว่าคะแนนสอบที่ได้มาเนี่ยมันเกิดจากความสามารถจริงหรือแค่ฟลุกเดาข้อสอบถูกอะไรอย่างเงี้ยเนาะแต่ว่าตัว R square คือเป็นตัวบอกว่าเส้นกราฟมันทำงานได้ดีขนาดไหนนะคะก็ประมาณนี้นะกันเพราะฉะนั้นก็มักจะดูคู่กันค่ะระหว่าง R square กับ p-value so can we answer the question which trend line fits best and most statistically significant if you take a look at this this is very low p-value, right? R squared is 0.6. This is 0.87. So this is highest. The office supply has the highest fit, right? Follows by technology. Furniture doesn't actually fit because R squared is almost 0 and p-value is very high. That means it's not statistically significant either. Okay, and this too is statistically significant because p-value is very, very low. So actually for the trend line, we can only trust the trend line of red and orange, but we cannot trust the blue one. Okay. You can also, if you have more knowledge about trend line, right? The regression, you can just right click and you can edit, right? And you can maybe show confidence band, right? But I won't show it here because it's too much. I can also change the model type here. I can right click and describe 10 model. So if I choose describe 10 model, it will be more statistically report value for you, like the degree of freedom, the p-value of each term in the equation, right? The MSE, the SSE, those things are very, very detailed on the statistics summary of this trend lines model. Okay, if you have enough knowledge about that. Okay. Next, forecast. Okay. In Tableau, we can do forecast, which is only available if we have date dimension in the view or dimension with integer values. We cannot forecast if we only have categorical values in the view. So the forecasting algorithm that is used in Tableau is only one. You cannot choose. This is called exponential smoothing model. What is exponential smoothing model? Exponential smoothing is a time series forecasting method. Okay, just like Box-Jenkins-Arima family, but the exponential smoothing will give you prediction for the weighted sum of past observation, and this weight will exponentially decreasing for past observation ก็คือหลักการก็คือ exponential smoothing คือจะให้เวทคล้ายๆกับ regression เวลาเราให้เวทกับตัวแปรแต่ละตัวเนอะแต่อันนี้เป็นตัวแปรตัวเดิมๆเพียงแต่เป็นตัวเดิมในเวลาก่อนหน้านี้ทีนี้เวลาก่อนหน้านี้จะก่อนหน้านานเท่าไหร่ล่ะยิ่งนานเช่นสมมุติคุณ forecast next year data exponential smoothing จะให้เวทของข้อมูลปีนี้นะคะมากกว่าปีที่แล้วและมากกว่า2 ปีที่แล้วลดลงลดหลั่นกันเป็นเขาเรียกว่า exponential decreasing so how can we get that let's take a look a little bit of the equation here so y hat ก็คือ y ที่ forecast ใช่ป่ะ y 1 forecast ก็เท่ากับ y 1ก็คือณปัจจุบันก็คือคุณรู้ค่าปัจจุบันอยู่แล้วนะคะมันก็เหมือนคุณไม่ได้ forecast อะไรแต่ค่าล่วงหน้า y hat t บวก1คืออะไร y hat t บวก1ก็คือค่าล่วงหน้าที่เรา forecast ปีหน้าเนี่ยมันจะเกิดจากการให้เวทของข้อมูลปีนี้กับ1 ลบอัลฟาก็คือเวทที่เหลือของข้อมูลที่ predict ของปีนี้เดี๋ยวภาพนะก็คือข้อมูลของปีหน้าจะเท่ากับแบ่งเวทของข้อมูลจริงของปีนี้กับ1 ลบเวทตัวนั้นข้อมูล predict ของปีนี้ทีนี้ข้อมูล predict ของปีนี้หาจากไหนข้อมูล predict ของปีนี้มันก็ไปเรื่อยๆไงมันก็แทนสูตรไปเรื่อยตัวอย่างเช่นนะเช่นข้อมูล predict ของปีที่5ใช่ป่ะข้อมูล predict ของปีที่5มันก็เกิดจากการให้เวทของข้อมูลปีที่4ใช่ป่ะบวกกับ1 ลบอัลฟาของข้อมูล forecast ปีที่4แล้วข้อมูล forecast ปีที่4ได้มาจากไหนข้อมูล forecast ปีที่4ก็ได้จากข้อมูล จริงของปีที่3ที่ให้เวทกับ1ลบอัลฟาของข้อมูลที่ forecast ของปีที่3เนี่ยมันก็แทนค่าไปเรื่อยๆแล้วคุณก็แทนค่าข้อมูล forecast ปีที่3ด้วยข้อมูลของปีที่2ข้อมูล forecast ปีที่2ด้วยข้อมูลของปีที่1พอมันคูณกลับเข้าไปคูณกลับเข้าไปมันก็จะกลายเป็นหน้าตาแบบนี้ก็คือคุณจะเห็นว่าเวทตรงเนี้ยมันถูกคูณไปเรื่อยๆคือมันเป็นจุดทศนิยมดังนั้นพอยิ่งคูณค่ามันยิ่งน้อยถูกไหม เช่น 0.5 คูณ 0.5 มันก็ได้ 0.25 เพราะฉะนั้นคุณจะเห็นว่าการ forecast ของปีที่5เนี่ยจะได้มาจากเวทของปีที่4บวกเวทที่น้อยลงของปีที่3บวกยิ่งน้อยลงของปีที่2บวกยิ่งน้อยลงของปีที่1อย่างนี้ไปเรื่อยๆแสดงว่าเราเชื่อมั่นในข้อมูลของปีที่ใกล้มากกว่าปีที่ไกลนั่นเองนี่คือหลักการของ exponential smoothing เนาะ That's the only forecast model available right now in Tableau. Okay, so let's. I already have one for you, so you can just go to analytics pane and drag forecast, drag forecast to the graph. No need to do anything. Okay, so forecast, no choice, right? No choice, only exponential smoothing, so no choice, and drop. You can see that we only have November. It left out December. This is the default behavior. And then it forecasts from December to December 12, 2025. Okay. We can put color of category so that we have graph with different colors. So category to color like this. And you can see that once you put category to color, right, the graph เชื่อมกันใช่ไหมbefore it doesn't, right, like this. Okay, and I change using category to color. Oops, no. Control click. Actually, you can configure this forecast. Right click and then forecast options. You can see that right now it's automatic forecast the next 13 months and ignore here. It ignore last 1 month. Right? You can change to be like you can probably want to forecast 2 years. It's possible, but as you may already know, the the farther the year or the month that you forecast, the less accurate it is. If you have enough knowledge, you can also configure the model, right, to be like automatic without seasonality or custom, right? Custom can add trend, whether it be additive or multiplicative or season, but my suggestion is if you don't know, you just choose automatic. Okay. And this could be like the next 12 months. You can also vary the month that you want to be data. So you have learned about data science before, right? It depends on the training data. So right now it trains from January 2022 to November 2024. You can arrange the month to be trained data. So if you have less number of trained data, of course, your forecasting model will be less accurate. Even may not be able to forecast at all like this. So when you vary the training data, your forecasting model will also change according to what you change for the training. คือถ้าคุณ change ตัวจำนวน data points ในการเทรนตัวที่มาเป็นตัว forecast ก็คือเป็นตัว test เนี่ยมันก็จะเปลี่ยนไปด้วยนะยิ่งถ้ามีข้อมูลน้อยแล้วข้อมูลตัวนั้นมันไม่ reflect สิ่งที่เกิดขึ้นจริงเนี่ยเวลามันใส่เวทเข้าไปเนี่ยมันก็จะได้สิ่งที่มันไม่ค่อยใกล้เคียงกับความจริงอย่างเงี้ยคือสิ่งที่มันเห็นคือมันเรียนรู้ได้นะว่ามันมีเหมือนกับ2 พีคที่ปลายปีอย่างเงี้ยนะถ้ามันมีข้อมูล3 ปีครบเนี่ยสิ่งที่เกิดขึ้นคือมันก็จะสามารถ predict ได้ว่าเอ้ยปีสุดท้ายนะปีที่ forecast มันก็ควรจะมี predict มีสองพีคอย่างนี้ด้วยอย่างนี้เนาะนี่ก็คือสิ่งที่มันเรียนรู้ได้ค่ะ You can right click to see the model, right? Describe forecast, right? Just like the trend line analysis. If you want to look at the detail of your model, right? This is the detail of the model, whether it has seasonal effect, whether it has trend effect, quality, how good it is, right? And the models here, whether it's multiplicative, what is the quality, MSE เป็นยังไง MAE เป็นยังไงพวกนี้นะคะนี่ก็เป็นรายละเอียดเนาะของตัวนี้ค่ะwe can also report this 95% confidential interval เนาะwe can put the some cells here with the arrow indicating that we have forecast model เนาะก็คือคุณจะเห็นว่าพิวพิเศษตัวนี้ก็คือเป็นพิวที่โชว์ให้เห็นว่ามันมี forecasting model อยู่ก็คือเป็นลูกศรนะคะ we can put some cells into detail for example and it will show you this okay and then if I change forecast results to be precision let's see whether I get what I have precision okay here I put some cell with the forecasting indicator in detail and then I drop down here and then change forecasting result to precision what I get is that the label okay will show my precision that means the plus and minus the variance of the forecast that okay we forecast that in September 2025 it is 31K but it could be plus or minus 20K so this is plus 20K this is minus 20K that is what the precision tells you right so this is actually the detail of the forecasting result that you could add to your graph. Okay. Now the last one is the clustering model. Okay. So already know, I think you have learned machine learning with Ajahn Napa, right? Clustering is the finding groups of the same or similar features, right? In the case of machine learning. In Tableau, they will use clustering algorithm, just like what you have learned before, to cluster the groups using the things called the distance between the groups called intra-cluster within group distance should be minimized and inter-cluster between group distance should be maximized ก็คืออัลกอริทึมที่มันใช้เนี่ยก็คือ K นี่และK means clustering ซึ่งไอ้ K means clustering เนี่ยมันก็คือใช้หลักการเดียวกันกับหน้านี้ก็คือบอกว่าพยายามจะ optimize ให้กลุ่มที่อยู่ในคลัสเตอร์เดียวกันเนี่ยมี distance ที่เรียกว่า intra cluster เนี่ย minimize ก็คือใกล้กันแต่กลุ่มที่อยู่คนละกลุ่มเนี่ยจะต้องมี distance ที่ห่างกันนั่นเองนะคะ we already know clustering application no we can use cluster in outlier detection because outlier are those far away cluster summarization or compression or data reduction you can use this for customer segmentation or product segmentation finding user with like-minded or similar products you can use clustering for like multimedia analysis or biological data analysis or even social network analysis right? You can cluster image You can cluster video or audio clips or even genes or DNAs or protein sequences. Okay, so in clustering analysis, that Tableau employs is the k-means, as I said before, right? You can just choose the analytics pane cluster, and then it will automatically do that for you. But you can choose the k number, although it chooses automatically for you at first, but you can choose the k numbers, and it will report you the centroid of that cluster. Okay, so in this case, we will cluster the countries by average male life expectancy and the population over 65 plus. Okay, to see whether which group of cluster is considered aging society, right? And let's see whether aging and young age society die young or die old, right? So in this case, the data that we choose is world indicator, okay? And then we already put population into columns and life expectancy to row, okay? I will just drag country region to detail. Country region to detail, okay? So now each data point is country. Now open Analytics tab. First, we can shrink, okay? Or may not shrink. Do we shrink it? Yes. We can shrink to just 40, right? 40. So edit axis. And then custom fix start at 40 so you can see things clearer. Okay. I then go to Analytics pane and then cluster, put cluster, no choice, only one choice. Okay, cluster, whoop, this is what we get. So what we get is that this cluster variables or features is clustering by life expectancy average and population 65 plus average. Why average? Because in this world indicator data, each country may have different years. So we choose average of those years. So now it choose three cluster for us. Right? Cluster 1, cluster 2, and cluster 3, right? It differentiate by colors. Let's say we know from our knowledge that it should have 4 cluster. The number of cluster we can enter here instead of automatic. For example, I want 4 cluster and just put 4 here. And it's now 4 cluster for me. So color legend shows me which country is in which cluster. Okay, so number of cluster depends on your assumption. I cannot tell you that, oh, for this question, it should be 4. For that question, it should be 5. It depends on the background knowledge or domain knowledge that you have according to that particular data. Okay. So in this case, I would say, okay, 4. I already opened my domain knowledge that says about male life expectancy and the population percentage over 65 plus. Okay. Okay, I can click close. Okay. Now I want to try to explain about each cluster. So how do I explain? I want to find the centroid. So centroid is the average, right, of each cluster, or the centroid is the average of life expectancy and average of population 65 plus. So I can add the average line with 95%, let's say. Average line with 95% confidence interval. So I put average line into table. Okay, like this. I put average line with 95% to table. I then change the label of this average line, right? Edit. So this is average population. I will choose custom. Let's say pop over 65, pop 65 plus แล้วกัน pop 65 plus พอมากcolon value ประมาณ 7% like this and also this line, right? Edit custom let's say average age ก็ value ก็แล้วแต่เนาะว่าเราจะให้ label ว่าอะไร อันนี้ก็ง่ายๆนะคะอันหนึ่งเป็น pop 65%ว่ากี่เปอร์เซ็นต์กับ average age นะอายุเท่าไหร่นะคะตอนนี้คือ average of the overall ใช่ไหมกับ population of the overall ค่ะ if you get this just type 6 for me okay so if I want to know the centroid I can just choose the legends. Let's say cluster 1 here. You are maybe different color. It's fine, right? Color is automatically assigned. For cluster 1, the average age is 68. Population is 5%. If it's cluster 2, average age goes down to 53. Population 3%, right? Cluster 3. So this is the centroid. 11% pop and 73 average age. And the last one, 74 average age, but population goes over to 17%. Okay. Now, I don't want to refer this cluster using cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, cluster 4, right? I want to define a meaningful name for each cluster. And I want to also use the meaningful name for the other graphs, in this case, the next graph. Right? How do we do that? Actually, it's very handy in Tableau because once you create the cluster, you can use this cluster in other of yours, the same data sets, but in different graphs. The things you need to do is that you need to apply the cluster here into a groups in your data fields. So how can you do that? You can see there is cluster color here. You drag cluster color back to your data pane. Right? You drag cluster field, cluster field back to the data pane. That means you want to create the data field according to your clusters. And the cluster is according to each country. Okay. Boop. So you can see this name, country, region, cluster, right? We can rename this. For example, I can rename it into average male age and pop, because this is the cluster created by these two features, right? You can see the small icon, right? This is like an icon that indicate this is the cluster, and this cluster is clip. So remember, clip means it's a group. So if you go to the data field and then edit, you can have edit group. Okay, now when you edit group, it will just tells you the data members of each cluster. You see, cluster 3 contains Albania, Argentina, Armenia, like this, right? You can now give this cluster, which is just a group, the meaningful name of that group. For example, if I see cluster 2 contains Afghanistan, looks like this orange one, right? How do I name this? It should be, let's right click and then choose rename. I will call this the lowest life expectancy and the young society, lowest and young. Why I call lowest and young? Because you can see that for orange cluster, life expectancy is the lowest, right? Just 52 something. And society is very young because it have old people only 3%. So most of the people are very young. So I call this a young society. For cluster 3 is red, right? Cluster 3 is this one. So this is quite aging society. I will call this a very high age, right? And aging society, because in cluster 3, it should be around 11%, right? 11% of the people are old. So aging society and die at a very old age. High. Cluster 1 is this blue one. Cluster 1 should be medium, right? It's between this high age and low age guy. So it should be medium. And the society is quite young because it's only 5% something, right? Yeah. Okay. And the last one is high or highest, and very age society. We call it age society because according to the domain knowledge, if it's over 14%, you can go to find in your Google. If it's over 14%, we call it an aged society. Actually, if it goes over 17 or 18 something, I'm not sure. It will be probably called super age. I think right now Japan is the super age society already. So this is just the name. We do this because we just want to have to give it a name that we can use later on, or you can give it a name so that we know the meaning of each group. We try to explain that group. ก็กด OK. Okay, then we can use back in this graph. Right now, the graph is colored by this cluster, right? We can replace this cluster with this group, but remember, if we replace it, the cluster cannot be changed. Right now, if you have changed your mind, you can just still change the cluster, or you can describe the cluster. Right? Click describe, it will tell you the number of items in each cluster, the center or centroid. Right? Sum of square, this is the between group, right? Intra cluster, error, distance, and this is the this is inter cluster, this is intra cluster. Sum of square is the distance between the members in the groups. So we can replace this with this one. So the color may change, but right now the legend tell you which group is which group, right? This is high group with age society and aging society. This is medium group with young society, and this is the lowest group with young society. Okay, so once you get this, just type 7 for me. Okay. Now, let's have a break, but during the break, I want you to do this. I want a corporate map of the whole countries in our world by using the cluster to be the color of the countries. And then I want to see whether young society, which country in the young society have the highest lending interest rate. So I need to put lending interest rate in the label so that I can see which one has the highest. The one with the young society is this green, this two green one. So I will just take a look at two green. Okay, because you can see it. Actually, Thailand is young. Right now, it's not. I think Thailand is now aging society. Okay, so this number probably is too old. Okay, but that's fine. Okay, let's get back in 10 minutes, right? Now it's 3:08, so 3:18. Okay, take a break, and then we'll come back to take a look at this. Okay, so let's finish out on this spinal graph. We will just use the map. Okay, so latitude and longitude here will help us. So just if you don't know whether you put latitude on rows on column, you just let Tableau choose it for you. So just double click, right? Double click, okay? You just double click latitude and longitude, and then it will automatically shows the world map for you. And then I will just put the newly created cluster information to color. Okay, now I'm getting the symbol map. Okay, symbol map here. But this symbol map is not correct yet because it's only contains 5 groups, including the not cluster one. Right? Because there are only 5 cluster available, so 5 groups. I want to have the detail to separate by country, so I need to put country to detail. Okay, now I get the symbol map for each of the country with colors according to the cluster group. Okay, I need to change the mark card type to map so that I get the corporate map. Like this. Okay. So just zoom out. Okay. Now, what I need to answer is that for the green, the 2 cluster with green now, green colors, how much is the lending interest rate? So I will find the lending interest rate in business, I think. Yeah, lending interest rate and put it in the label. Right? Put it in the label. Okay. And I will need to find for the green one, this is the medium group, right? If you take a look, it's usually be Brazil. This is the highest lending rate. For the teal, the teal color, probably I think it will be this one, right? Zimbabwe, right? 178% lending interest rate. This should be the highest one. But if you take a look at map and then you are not sure, probably you need to go and take a look at the data. So you can go to analysis and then view data. Okay, and then you can just sort by this. You can see lowest and young, Zimbabwe is the highest one. For medium and young, Brazil is the highest one. Okay, and that would answer the question, what is the highest interest rate for the young society countries? So it'd be Brazil and Zimbabwe. Okay, so if you get this, just type 8 for me. Okay, thank you. Right, so just double click latitude and longitude, right? And then you put the cluster, which is this one, to color, and then put country in detail, right? Country in detail, and then lending interest rate here to label. And then you get this, change the mark scar to map, so that it changed from symbol map, right, with the point, to choropleth map with the preattentive attribute containment, the shaded colors map type. Okay. Now we're done with this, just saved. Let's save this. Okay. And then close. Right. And then you now open the starter file for lecture 10. Okay, so for lecture 9, we're done, right? In lecture 9, just from last lecture, we'll talk about built-in functions, about date, about string manipulation, right? And we talk about parameters that can enhance the what-if scenarios, table calculation, and then today we talk about the using analytics plane for statistical analysis. Okay. Now move on to lecture 10. And then I will just double click on L10 starter file. Okay, so today we also talk about dashboard and storytelling, including insights and insight generation and presentation. So it should be quick. I think it should take about 1 hour. Okay. So while we are in the analytics framework, we are now at the last step here. We talk about how to communicate the results using dashboard, and it make it more interactive dashboard, and try to make some recommendation to drive the action with our data, because without that, data is just numbers. So this is the today's outline. So before you open Tableau, or you are opening the Tableau, before you drag anything onto your screen, you need to step back, and then you need to plan. What do we need? We need to answer 4 critical questions: who, what, why, and where. Okay, so let's start with who. What does who mean? Who mean who is your audience? So you need to know and understand who will be looking at your dashboard. And that will tell you everything about how do you want to design your dashboard. Right? Is it your CEO who needs like a quick and high-level executive summary of the dashboard, or you need to put a dashboard for your colleagues as the data analysis, for them to be able to dig into the details of the data? Or maybe your intended audience may be specific person or has specific role that you need to arrange those charts on the screen for them and for their requirements. Okay, so this is the who. And the what is the information that is important given you have the audience. So you need to know what is the key takeaway for your audience. You should make it simple. This is the golden rule. So you make it simple, only include important or relevant information, right? Provide with interactivity. User must see it with consistent design, language, and color scheme. This is what. And why. Now you need to know why. Why are you creating this dashboard? Are you like trying to present the conclusion to drive some business decision? Or are you raising like a key question for them to think more about it? Or the goal is to just inform something that you just put it out for daily operation. The last one is where. Why do you need to consider where? Because where tells you where the dashboard will be viewed. Is this the dashboard for your presentation monitor? Or it is going to be the dashboard that view in the desktop monitor of your CEO or your mobile phone, right? Because different device have different size of the monitor, so you need to design it with this in mind. Or is it a dashboard that even finally will be printed out? So if it's printed out, it's different story, right? Because if it's printed out, those filters, those interactive elements will not work at all, right? So answering that 4 questions first before you design a dashboard, okay? So to create a dashboard in Tableau, the bottom one is to have this new dashboard icon. You just click this and then it opens up a new sheet. And this new sheet is not the sheet that you create a graph, but it's the sheet that lists all the sheets that you have on the left-hand side. And then you can add or drag those sheets into your dashboard on the right-hand side. In addition to that sheets, you can also add some other objects like title or image, right, in your dashboard also. So data in the sheets and data in the dashboard is connected. Okay, so goes to the file, L10 starter file. Here. Okay, I already have graph for you. So these are actually those graphs that we've created before, some of them, right? Most of them are created before, right? Just go to new dashboard icon and then create the new dashboard icon. And then let's name this dashboard Superstore Performance. Performance. Superstore Performance dashboard. You can see on the right-hand side, this is where you drop your sheets. On the left-hand side are the list of the sheets here and list of the objects that you can add to your dashboard. Okay, the first thing you need to do is to set the size and the layout of your dashboard. So best practice is starting with this size. So you can fix as we told you before, right? Where is one of the critical questions that you need to ask. So this where will tell you whether you need a fixed size. For example, you need fixed size for your CEO iPad specific model of the iPad. For example, you can fix the size here. Or you can have it automatic. Now, in this case, we will choose automatic, right? So that because we don't know whether each of us has large or small monitor. So I'll take as automatic, okay? And you can see once I set as automatic, it will span the size of my monitor right now. So my option is that it could be fixed size, which is the default one, right? Fixed size means it remains the same size regardless of the size of the window and the display. Range, it means that the dashboard will scale between this minimum and maximum size. Automatic means it will automatically resize to fill up the window that you display. Okay, and then the way that you arrange the items in your dashboard has two ways, right? The layout could be tile or floating. Let's look at tile first. What does it mean by tile layout? Tile layout means that if you drop any item in your dashboard, it will snap to a grid. Right? Tile means it will snap to a grid, and then once you resize some of your elements, the other elements will also resize. Right? So the advantage of tile layout is that you get the benefit of scalability and alignment. It will do that for you for most of the proportion that you change the size of the dashboard. So it keep for the tile layout, this is what I recommend. It will keep you if you are not an advanced user, it will keep your dashboard size incredibly organized and then neat and prevent things from actually come up with some garbage on your monitor or something like that. Right? For floating layout, it's float. So everything can move freely in your dashboard. This is why it's called float. The advantage is that you can fix the place that each element display in your dashboard with exact pixel, exact latitude and longitude, things like that. But once you get a lot of floating and then sometimes your dashboard element change, then you need to also realign or move your floating items. Otherwise, it could not be the same. Okay, so best practice, tie first, and then other things that cannot be tied, you just choose it as floating. Okay, so you can choose tie and floating here, or when you drag the sheet over, you can choose that later on. Okay, so now let's move our dashboard, right? Before we talk about these dashboard actions, let's say I want horizontal container, maybe help. Maybe you can add show dashboard title here. Right? You can disable or enable dashboard title. And then I want a scorecard to be on the top. So my scorecard contains 4 numbers, which is sales profit here. I want it to be on the same row. So I put horizontal container over so that I can move it very easily. Okay, horizontal container. This container will try to help us to arrange everything in horizontal. So I will put sales. Oops, no, not this way. Sales is here. Sale, drag profit. You can see when you drag something, this is tile layout because I choose tile here. When you choose tile layout, it means that it will snap. So when you want to know where it snap, when you drag, it will show you the shade, that gray area, right? That it will go snap, right? So if you want profit to be right-hand side of sale, I want to move so that it will gray on the right-hand side of cell like this, and then you just release your mouse, right? Profit margin, this, and average sales per customer. And then I can also add another horizontal below like this, right? Okay, so I have 2 horizontal container, one for this row of scorecards and another one for this. Right? And then I can move this easily like this. I then need more things on my graph, so I need this sale and profit. Okay, I need this. Okay, and then I need, what do I have? Okay. Maybe sale as a date. Yeah. Okay. I then need. So this is how you come up with the graph. Okay. So you can try on your own. This is not a mandatory things or something like that. I can just try to put my things on the dashboard. Top end. Okay, let's put top end. Want to know which customer. Something like this. Maybe. Oh, I want to put this up because no. Oh, here, like this, something like this. So you can see, right? You try yourself. I will give you some 5 minutes, right? Okay, so come up with something like this first, all the elements that we want in my dashboard. Let's say I want all the performance, right? I need to take a look at sale, profit margin, average sale per customer, and then I want to look to compare between sales and profit, sales by segment, profit margin by country region, and then overall for state for top customers. Okay. If any one of you get something like this, just type 9 for me. Okay, and then we'll come back to format this one if we have time, right? It's 339, then maybe 341. If you want to make the title of you can see the sheet title is too big. You can format the sheet title. Okay, go to layout, for example, right? And then you can just you change. I don't think you can change here. Go to dashboard, okay, and then format. And then you can format the size of the dashboard title. For example, it's maybe too big. And then you can change the font to be smaller, like this. You can change the worksheet title to be smaller. No need to be bold, for example, just light. And then maybe 11 is enough, right? Data ink ratio, right? It doesn't need to be too big so that it will be safe space. Then this should be smaller so that I can have place for here. Okay. So one thing is that some of these worksheets has already been fit entire view when we create this graph in their own sheet. Remember, when you create each graph, you can choose fit entire view like this, right? But some of these are not, right? So you can see that, like the profit margin, you can see there are scroller, right? And if you don't want to see the scroll bar like this, you can change the behavior of your graph by clicking that graph first and then more options and then fit. You can fit entire view over here also, like this, right? And if it's too big, right? I think it's too big. You need to maybe you need to go back to change the size of the front overall. What is this? Maybe the size of this, right? Maybe the pane to be smaller. Pane mean this to be smaller, and this will be smaller also. So why? This is where I said that the data in the sheets and the data in the dashboard are connected. So if you change something in the dashboard or you change something in the sheet, the dashboard will change also ก็คือมัน connect กันคุณแก้ตรงนี้เนาะตรงนี้มันก็แก้ด้วยหรือคุณแก้ตรงนี้ตรงนี้มันก็แก้ด้วยคุณจะเห็นว่าเนี่ยนะเช่นอะไรอะเช่นสมมติว่าคุณเอ่อ เปลี่ยนสมมติว่าอันเนี้ยมันมี target ใช่ป่ะ50K สมมติคุณเปลี่ยน target ตรงนี้เป็น52K ปุ๊บคุณไปดูว่า data ตรงนี้จริงๆเนี่ยตรงเนี้ยมันก็จะเปลี่ยนเป็น52K ด้วยคือมันไม่ได้ copy นะการที่เรามาสร้างแดชบอร์ดคือมัน connect คือมันเอาตัวเนี้ยตัวเดียวกันเนี่ยแหละไปสร้างเป็นแดชบอร์ดดังนั้นตรงนี้เปลี่ยนตรงแดชบอร์ดก็เปลี่ยนตรงแดชบอร์ดเปลี่ยนตรงนี้ก็เปลี่ยนด้วยนะเช่นอันนี้เปลี่ยนกลับเป็น50K ปุ๊บพอไปดูที่แดชบอร์ดแดชบอร์ดก็เปลี่ยนเหมือนกันเห็นปะเพราะฉะนั้นมันไม่ใช่ Copy นะคะการสร้างแดชบอร์ดไม่ใช่การสร้าง Copy แต่มันเหมือนมันเอาตัวนั้นน่ะในเวิร์กชีตเนี่ยมาใส่ในนี้เลยนะคะนั้นพอเปลี่ยนในนี้ตรงนั้นก็เปลี่ยนตรงนั้นตรงนี้ก็เปลี่ยนเช่นเดียวกันอ่ะ ทีนี้เราก็สามารถทำอะไรตรงไหนได้บ้างตรงนี้ถามว่าจำเป็นไหมtake a look ตัว data English o เนาะ take a look at the legend whether it's critical to view this legend or not maybe not critical you just click remove from the dashboard ตรง segment นี้ตรงนี้ก็ไม่จำเป็นเพราะว่ามีเขียนบอกอยู่แล้วว่า segment อะไรก็ไม่จำเป็นตรงนี้ค่ะ profit margin may not be important top customer อันนี้จำเป็นต้องมีใช่ไหมอันนี้ไม่จำเป็น profit target ต้องมีใช่ไหม measure name ต้องมีไหมอ่ะอาจจะเป็น measure name ของตรงนี้ถ้าไม่มีเนี่ยอาจจะไม่รู้ว่าสีม่วงเนี่ยคือ profit หรือสีม่วงคือ sale ใช่ป่ะอันนี้อาจจะต้องมีทีนี้ต้องมีเนี่ยมันควรจะต้องมาอยู่ใกล้ๆกันใช่ป่ะทีนี้เราจะให้มันมาอยู่ใกล้ๆกันตรงนี้ยังไงถ้ามันเป็นแบบถ่ายมันจะกินที่เออกรณีเนี้ยมันก็อาจจะเป็น good use case ว่าเราอาจจะเปลี่ยนไอ้ตัว legend ตัวเนี้ยนะคะให้เป็นแบบ floating นะคะวิธีการเปลี่ยน floating ก็คือกดตัวนี้แล้วก็เลือกแบบ floating พอ floating เนี่ยมันจะไปอยู่ตรงไหนก็ได้เนี่ยมันจะไม่ snap to grid ละนะคะสมมติว่าตรงนี้ว่างไงเราจะไว้ตรงนี้นะคะ measure name ตรงนี้ไม่ต้องมีเราก็สามารถเอา title ออกได้เนี่ย title เอาออกปุ๊บก็จะมีแค่ชื่อ profit กับ sale อย่างนี้หรือว่าอาจจะคิดว่าประมาณนี้น่าจะสวยอุ๊ยโอเคแล้วก็ this one also put it as floating เนาะ floating ปุ๊บนะคะแล้วก็ we can put it where it's available ตรงนี้ก็จะกินที่ไม่เยอะนะคะตรงนี้ profit target ก็เหมือนกันก็สามารถให้มัน floating ปุ๊บแล้วก็ไปไว้ตรงนี้ใช่ปะมันก็จะกินที่น้อยลงอะไรแบบนี้นะลดขนาดลดขนาด floating format format this parameter นะให้มันเล็กลงปุ๊บไหมทับโบบุ๊กโบ right อะไรอย่างนี้เนาะเล็กกว่านี้ไหม6อะไรแบบนี้เนาะเล็กไป7หรือว่าทำอะไรได้อีกโอเคละ alignment center หรออืมเอาตรงนี้ติดแล้วกันอืมโอเค this maybe probably put it ให้มัน2 บรรทัดได้ไหมก็จะปรับยากนิดนึงเนาะคือแบบหรือว่าให้มันเป็นตรงนี้ อ๋อมันเป็นทำไมมันเป็นทายล่ะเป็น floating สิโอเคเป็น floating โอเคอะไรไม่เอานะโอเคfloating อย่างเงี้ยก็จะง่ายขึ้นโอเคค่ะก็ it takes time to come up with a very beautiful and neat dashboard นะคะ let's say I'm quite finalized with my design right now okay I can also uh, click this presentation mode and it will goes up as full screen full screen it shows in my another monitor so uh, let's say full screen why to move to this screen it cannot why okay now you can see that if what right now it looks okay already, but your dashboard is not actually interactive. It's very static right now. Okay, so one thing to make your dashboard interactive is to add some actions to your dashboard. And the first action that we need to add is called filter actions. Filter action means you want to filter data from one view to another view using a click or using a hover, right? So the default one, right, like this, if you click, it will filter the other two of your graph when you click. Okay, so how do you apply filter action? You just click the drop down on that particular view and then click this icon filtered and it will filter your other sheets, right? So for example, if I choose this sales by segment, for example, and if I want to click on, for example, home office, I want other sheets, other graphs to filter only to see home office data, right? Right now it's not, right? But if I click this icon, use as filter, right? I click this icon from the transparent one to a solid one. What happened is that when I click home office, see, there's some interactivity over here. When I click home office, all the other graph will change to filter only home office. So what you can see here is the profit margin for the home office. What you can see sale and profit here is for the home office. This is for the home office. This is for home office and home office. If you click consumer, this is for consumer only. Okay, this is called filter action. So usually we will create filter action for every graph that we have. So let's click and then use as filter, click, use as filter, click, use as filter, click, use as filter, and click, use as filter. So if you have no brain, you can just add filter for every graph that we have so that it will filter once you click something in your graph to another other views. For example, I click Manitoba, boop, okay? This is only for Manitoba. If I click Texas, these are data for Texas only. Okay, same here. I click furniture. These are furnitures. Right? I click again, it means I don't filter. Okay. So this is the default action because people use this quite often. So that's why they have this specialized icon so that you can click it very easily. but there are some other actions and the methods for running that action. You need to go to dashboard menu and then choose actions to set up the action. Okay, you can see right now when you click dashboard action, there are 6 actions already created. These are the action that we clicked the icon 2 minutes ago. Right? This filter, right, generated from where you can go to edit. And you can see that this is the filter action that the source sheet is sales by segment, which is the pie chart, right? And the action run on select. The target sheets are all of them, right? So everything is checked. That means actually we can detailedly edit the action on each filter ก็คือเราสามารถเลือกได้นะว่า source จะเป็นอะไร แล้ว target เนี่ยจะไปปรากฏที่ไหนบ้าง เช่นเราอาจจะบอกว่าเราคลิกฟิลเตอร์ที่ pie chart ให้มันไปเปลี่ยนแค่ map ก็ได้ ก็คือตรงนี้ก็มาปรับ ไม่ต้องติ๊กอันอื่นไปติ๊กแค่ map อย่างเงี้ยก็ได้นะคะ แล้วก็สามารถ select run action on ตอนนี้เป็น select คือต้องกดนะแต่ถ้าเป็น hover คืออะไร hover คือเอาเมาส์ไปลอยเหนือ ก็โอเคแล้วเช่นสมมติครูทำให้ดูก็ได้ เราไม่ต้องทำตาม we run action on hover what happen กดโอเค hover คือเอาเมาส์ไปวางข้างบน ยังไม่ทันคลิกเลยนะ นี่ครูยังไม่ได้คลิกเลย เอาเมาส์ไปลอยเหนือ มันก็ฟิลเตอร์ละนี่คือ hover เนาะอีกอันหนึ่งถ้าไม่ใช่ hover คือเมนูเนี่ยมันจะสร้างเป็น tool tip ขึ้นมาถ้าเป็นเมนูปุ๊บเมนูเนี่ยมันจะเหมาะกับการที่ให้กดไปเว็บไซต์อะไรเงี้ยนะถ้าถูกคุณเลือกเมนูเนี่ยสิ่งที่เกิดขึ้นคือเวลาคลิกมันจะขึ้นเป็นเนี่ยเป็นเหมือน tool tip เล็กๆให้กดอีกทีนึงถ้ากดเฉยๆมันจะไม่เกิดอะไร มันจะต้องกดเนี่ยแล้วก็กดตรงนี้ filter one generated ซึ่งเราสามารถเช็คคลิกเนี่ยแล้วค่อยเปลี่ยนเนี่ยเพราะฉะนั้นมันเหมือนเป็น2 สเต็ปเนาะอันนี้จะไม่เหมาะกับฟิลเตอร์แบบนี้หรอกแต่มันจะเหมาะกับให้กดแล้วไปดูอันอื่นอะไรเงี้ยอันนั้นจะเหมาะกว่าค่ะนะก็กลับไปที่แบบเดิม edit ครูเชงเป็น select ส่วนใหญ่ select เนี่ยจะ work นะคะกดโอเคนะคะทีนี้ there are some other type of action เนาะthese are the type of action that you can add to your dashboard นะคะ filter พูดไปแล้วนะคะ highlight action what is highlight action ใช่ไหม highlight action is call attention to marks and then highlight คือฟิลเตอร์ใช่ป่ะข้อมูลจะหายใช่ปะอะไรที่ถูกฟิลเตอร์เอาแต่ไฮไลท์เนี่ยแค่ไฮไลท์เฉยนึกภาพออกไหมเอาใหม่มาลองดูก็ได้สมมุติครูจะไฮไลท์เซลล์ by segment ครูไปที่ dashboard actions ค่ะแล้วก็ add action highlight add action highlight ปุ๊บค่ะครูบอกว่าให้ source sheet เป็นsales by segment อันเดียว source sheet เป็น sale by segment นะคะแล้วtarget sheet เป็นอะไรดีเป็น profit by margin category profit margin ละกันแล้วให้ run action on hover มันจะได้ไม่ไปซ้อนกับไอตัว filter เนาะคือถ้า hover คือ highlight ถ้า select คือ filter ประมาณนี้นี่คือดีไซน์ปุ๊บนะคะกดโอเคสมมุตินะถ้ากด select มันจะฟิลเตอร์ใช่ป่ะกราฟมันจะถูกฟิลเตอร์แต่ถ้า hover เฉยเนี่ยนี่คือ hover เฉยเห็นไหมมันจะมีการเหมือนกับ gray out ใช่ไหมมันจะ gray out อย่างเงี้ยนี่คือไฮไลท์นะคะเนี่ยนี่คือไฮไลท์เนาะประมาณนี้ นะคะอันนี้คือความแตกต่างของแอคชั่นพวกนี้นะคะคือไฮไลท์คือแค่เกรย์เอาท์แต่ถ้าฟิลเตอร์นี่คือมันฟิลเตอร์ออกไปเลยค่ะนี่คือความแตกต่าง Go to URL ก็ชื่อตามนั้น create hyperlinks to external resource such as web page. For example, you have the product name, and then you can create the go to URL so that, for example, if people come up with question about what is that product, and then you provide the product name URL, and then you can click and then shows them, oh, this is the product, this is the features of that product, for example. Or go to sheet, just the name suggests. So the sheet means you go to that sheet. That sheet could be worksheet or could be dashboard or could be story in the same workbook. Change parameter, it means you let user change parameter values by just clicking the marks. Change set value, just change the values in the set. Okay, just as the name suggested. So these are all the things that you can make your dashboard dynamic. And you use action to allow user to interact directly with the data. Okay. So above the dashboards, right? You can see that dashboard could be just one point in your story, but actually the whole story have something more than that. So what is Tableau story? Tableau story is a sheet that contains sequence of views and dashboards that work together to create a story, just as the name suggested. So you can use story to make a compelling case to show your whole analyze from the first to the last or to the conclusion. So one story is like one presentation, and the keyword one story point mean one individual page in the story. Okay, so you can use story to tell data narrative to provide context and maybe demo something to outcomes or to some of your business goal. So step for creating stories, just first you need to have question. You need to start usually with big picture and then drill down and maybe highlight some outliers, maybe show your trend. And then what you need to do is to offer your analysis and answer the question that you state at first. Okay, so let's say you want to create new story. It's here, new story. New story. Oops. Okay, and then you can define your story. For example, my story is furniture profitability, for example. No, I can show title or not. Maybe not show. It depends. Right? And then the first thing, just like in dashboard, is that you can change to be automatic size here. Okay, so I change it to automatic size. I can change the type of my layout. Right now it is called caption box. This caption box means that if I click this caption, it will change the page or the story point for me. I can change, if I think this doesn't need to be a caption, I can change to maybe dots or number. Let's change it to dots. Okay, so it will be just a dot for you to click to the next page. Okay, and then I can add the sheet here. So let's say I want to add dashboard. I just created. Right. On the left hand side, it contains views or worksheets and dashboards. So let's add the dashboard. I get the dashboard, right? And if I want to tell story of furniture, for example, right? First, what I said is that my question is about the furniture profitability, but I will need to start with the big picture. So I let everyone to see my big picture using this dashboard here. And then I will use the same dashboard to create the real question. So I want to point out or to let audience focus on my question about furniture. I can drag the same things, right? Drag the same thing into my dot over here. I can drag the same thing into my dot and then release. and then the first dot and the second dot need to have something different, right? So the second dot, I will just want to filter by furniture. Okay, if I click furniture, right, everything will be filtered by furniture because I already have filter actions. And I would need to create a snapshot for this, so next time I play this story, it will only contain this filter. So what I need to do is I want to click the update icon over here. This update icon over here means I need to make the snapshot of the filter or anything that interactive on my dashboard in this page of the story. Okay. And maybe I add the same thing for the third time. Right? I put the dashboard again to be the third time, but now I want to drill down on the furniture. For example, I can click this drill down, boop, but I want to show only furniture, right? I can right click furniture and then choose keep only, right? So in this case, this graph will only contain furniture. This graph also I can drill down, right? Boop, and this will only contain subcategory of furniture, right? This is what I can do with the things here. I drill down and then I update my snapshot. Boop. This is too much. I want to just keep only furniture like this. Okay. Okay. So what it tells us is that story create a copy of your sheet and your dashboard นะก็คือถ้าเป็นแดชบอร์ดเนี่ยเราเปลี่ยนอะไรที่ชีตตรงนี้เปลี่ยนมันไม่ได้ create copy แต่ว่าถ้าเป็น story มัน create a copy คุณสามารถมี different copy of the same dashboard ใช่ไหม create 3 times with different views different filters and different view down positions so this is where the story is very flexible for you to tell your story okay before we finish this I want to add the conclusion about this count. So I add this scatter plot over to the fourth page. Okay, like this. Okay, so I have 4 pages in my story. So when I tell the story, I can say, okay, let's take a look at our super soft performance overall here. So overall, we get a good sales, good profit margin, and average sale per customer. But let's take a look at furniture. You can see that the furniture profit is not up to the goal that we set. And what happens is that in furniture, right, we got some of the negative profit margin. And in furniture, the sales and the profit is not actually really good. And when we drill down to furniture, you can see that some of the subcategory in furniture doesn't give us the profit, right? So give us the negative profit like this. And why? That's because the discount. You can see that we had very high discount for this sales of these products and customers. Okay, red means high discount, and the blue means low discount. Okay, so this is the example of the story that I created. I can also export the story into PowerPoint. Story can be export image, export to PowerPoint file, export as PowerPoint. So include this story, I can click export. Okay, save. And when I open the story, it actually gives me something like this. Right? It capture your story for you in a page like this มันก็ง่ายนะก็คือมันก็สร้าง PowerPoint ได้แต่ปกติเราไม่ค่อยใช้เพราะอะไรคุณจะสังเกตว่าสิ่งที่มัน snap เนี่ยมัน snap มาทั้งอันเลยเราจะปรับอะไรมันก็ไม่ค่อยได้เนาะนี่ก็คือข้อเสียของไอ้ตัว story ตัวนี้นะคะ ดังนั้นโดยปกติก็จะไม่ค่อยเห็นใครใช้สตอรี่ของ Turbo สักเท่าไหร่ส่วนใหญ่ก็จะสร้างเป็นแดชบอร์ดแล้วก็อาจจะ export แดชบอร์ดใช่ไหม export เป็น image อะไรเงี้ยหรือว่า export graph individually you can export right export image right choose where your legend will be right into image and then go to Canva or to PowerPoint to push back this image that will be more flexible things that you can do okay so this is one choice right that Tableau provides for you this is the story right so before we finish today we want to talk about storytelling so when we start the class we talk about the world is filled with a lot of data right when then we need to process a huge amount of data but someone surveys consumer or professionals and then they found that actually when we get the data we throw out most of the data because everything is overload right now everywhere is a data digital things come up in our mobile phone every day every time so people usually throw that out so that means when we try to convey our information it's our work to get the audience attention not the audience fault ก็คือปัญหาครูก็คือบอกว่าคือตอนนี้คนเราเนี่ยมันได้ข้อมูลเยอะเวลาเราเป็นคนไปเล่าเรื่องอะไรเนี่ยเขาก็มักจะไม่ฟังเราดังนั้นเขาจะฟังเราก็ต่อเมื่อเราเล่าเรื่องที่น่าสนใจนั่นเองนะคะก็เป็นนะคือถ้าเขาไม่ฟังคือเป็นความผิดเราใช่ปะไม่ใช่ความผิดเขานะคะยกตัวอย่างง่ายๆนะคะ this is very bad of how they come up with how they explain about three telecommunication network in USA AT&T Sprint Verizon it looks like True and AIS in Thailand เนาะก็คือเขากำลังพยายามอธิบายแพ็กเกจของแต่ละบริษัทแล้วเอามาเปรียบเทียบกันปรากฏว่า this graph is very bad graph because the scale is not the same this is the gigabyte per month and the cost of the dollar is not aligned with the scale of the y-axis so very bad things to show in this graph right so Edward Tufte our guru says that there's no such thing as information overload actually there only bad design so how do you tell the story better story someone says okay we often hear about left brain and right brain that says okay left brain is what left brain is maybe math brain right brain is the creative brain but actually the brain is more complicated than that in the research in the scientific studies it shows that storytelling affect the brain so the story will activate parts of the brain and that allow the listener to turn the story into their own ideas and experience so if you want listener to listen to you you need to have the way to activate part of the audience brain so this is where it's called the dopamine is the chemical thing in the brain that release into the system when it experience something so if dopamine is released then it will be easier to remember things okay so many activity in the brain it's not just left and right brain okay so how do we get the audience to listen to us there are three elements in storytelling attract engage and punchline think of these three things as the act of play if you fail to attract the audience they won't look at your dashboard right if you fail to engage them they will just abandon halfway and if you don't deliver the punchline they will just leave without point of what you want to say right ก็คือ attract ก็คือทำให้คนเนี่ยมาเริ่มฟังคุณใช่ปะ แต่ฟังแล้วเนี่ยจะไม่ทิ้งไปตรงกลางทางก็คือต้องใช้ engage แล้วสุดท้ายพอฟังครบแล้วเนี่ยยังจำได้อยู่ก็คือต้องมี punchline นะคะเพราะฉะนั้นในรายละเอียดก็คือ law of attraction means that before you open your visualization you need to answer things, right? What is your theme? What is your audience? What is your purpose? What is the tone that you want to set? Think about maybe you write a report or the thesis that you will be working on, whether you want to present your analysis of forecasting something. What does the tone of what you want to present, or what are the dashboard that tells you the technical thing in your data science team or data engineer team? What are the summary that maybe CEO wants to see? So once you know that, the golden rule is keep it simple. So the diamond, this just to show you that it represents clarity. Everything needs to be clear, not clutter the eye. The second rules of engagement, once you have the attention of the audience, how do you keep it? First, you need to decide whether your story will be interactive or non-interactive, right? So if it is interactive, that means your dashboard needs to have filters, needs to have tooltips, right? If it's not, it should be static presentation, right? Next is the choice of visualization. You must pay attention to the size, to the colors or the space that you have, and then you need to use the color strategically or to draw the eye of the audience. It must be also consistent throughout your presentation. Right? So everything needs to have arrangement. We naturally know that we read from top to left, top to bottom, left to right. Okay? So you need to place everything where the eyes will fall. And finally, the presenter has to walk to the story. Don't just point here. No, you need to have the whole story explain where the data flows and how user should look at. Then give the punchline or your beautiful charts mean nothing if you don't conclude. Usually we can conclude early. The data must lead to some impact or some recommendation. Or you have to place your conclusion strategically, like chronologically. Chronology ก็คือ place แบบตั้งแต่ต้นจนจบเป็นเรื่องราวเป็นตามเวลาหรือ you can choose to lead with the punchline. Okay? Your work is to make a lasting impression, not just forgot. Listen to you and then they forgot. So Andrew Stanton, the Pixar director, says that don't give them 4, give them 2.2 because this is the clues to the great story. Just like in Finding Nemo, if you look at the Pixar movies, Finding Nemo, right? This is Nemo. The story is not about just Nemo, but the movie simply show Nemo lost and then Nemo is found by who? Found by friends of fathers of Nemo and then friends of fathers of Nemo. What is it called? I don't remember, right? So it's a long journey until they find Nemo. Okay, and this is a very classic data narrative. May already seen in other class, right? Have you ever seen this video before? Pim yes or no? This is the right at the top of my own unrolling presentation. We just need to show computer sound. Okay. Yes or no? Have you seen this presentation before? Please type yes and no. Yes or no?
Work too. I teach global health. And I know having the data is not enough. I have to show it in ways people both enjoy and understand. Now, I'm going to try something I've never done before. Animating the data in real space. With a bit of technical assistance from the crew.
5 minutes video.
So, here we go. First, an axis for health. Life expectancy. from 25 years to 75 years. And down here, an axis for wealth, income per person, $400, $4,000, and $40,000. So down here is poor and sick, and up here is rich and healthy. Now, I'm going to show you the world 200 years ago, in 1810. Here come all the countries. Europe brown, Asia red, Middle East green, Africa south of Sahara blue, and the Americas yellow. And the size of the country bubbles show the size of the population. And in 1810, it was pretty crowded down there, wasn't it? All countries were sick and poor. Life expectancy were below 40 in all countries. And only UK and the Netherlands were slightly better off, but not much. And now, why start the world? The Industrial Revolution makes countries in Europe and elsewhere move away from the rest. But the colonized countries in Asia and Africa, they are stuck down there. And eventually, the Western countries get healthier and healthier. And now we slow down to show the impact of the First World War and the Spanish flu epidemic. What a catastrophe! And now I speed up through the 1920s and the 1930s. And in spite of the Great Depression, Western countries forge on towards greater wealth and health. Japan and some others try to follow, but most countries stay down here. Now, after the tragedies of the Second World War, we stop a bit to look at the world in 1948. 1948 was a great year. The war was over, Sweden topped the medal table at the Winter Olympics, and I was born. But the differences between the countries of the world was wider than ever. United States was in the front, Japan was catching up. Brazil was way behind, Iran was getting a little richer from oil, but still had short lives. And the Asian giants, China, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Indonesia, they were still poor and sick down here. But look what is about to happen. Here we go again. In my lifetime, former colonies gained independence, and then finally they started to get healthier and healthier and healthier. And in the 1970s, then countries in Asia and Latin America started to catch up with the Western countries. They became the emerging economies. Some in Africa follows. Some Africans were stuck in civil war and others hit by HIV. And now we can see the world today in the most up-to-date statistics. Most people today live in the middle, but there are huge differences at the same time between the best of countries and the worst of countries. And there are also huge inequalities within countries. These bubbles show country averages, but I can split them. Take China, I can split it into provinces. There goes Shanghai. It has the same wealth and health as Italy today. And there is the poor inland province Guizhou. It is like Pakistan. And if I split it further, the rural parts are like Ghana in Africa.
And yet, despite the enormous disparities today, we have seen 200 years of remarkable progress. That huge historical gap between the West and the rest is now closing. We have become an entirely new converging world. And I see a clear trend into the future. With aid, trade, green technology and peace, it's fully possible that everyone can make it to the healthy, wealthy corner.
Well, what you just seen in the last few minutes is a story of 200 countries shown over 200 years and beyond. It involved plotting of 120,000 numbers. Pretty neat, huh?
ก็จบไปแล้วเนาะสำหรับpresentation นี้ก็คือสรุปภาษาไทยง่ายๆเพราะว่ามันเป็น presentation ภาษาอังกฤษอยู่แล้วคือหลักๆก็คือเขาก็เอาไอ้ world indicator ข้อมูลของเราเมื่อกี้นี่แหละคล้ายๆกันนะนั่นก็คือมาโชว์ให้เห็นว่าไอ้ life span เนี่ยนะทำเป็น log scale เนาะแล้วก็ที life span
Then countries in Asia and Latin
ข้างบนเป็น y ใช่ไหมเป็นแกน y นะคะแล้วก็ income จะเป็นแกน x อันนี้จะเป็น log scale ทำไมเขาถึงทำเป็น log scale เพราะว่าถ้าเกิดทำเป็น linear scale ตรงนี้มันจะมองไม่ค่อยเห็นไงใช่ไหมการที่จะให้ bubble chart มันมองเห็นเนี่ยมันก็เลยต้องเป็น log scale เพราะว่าข้อมูลมันเติบโตค่อนข้างเยอะนะคะทีนี้เขาก็โชว์เป็นแอนิเมชันให้คุณดูใช่ไหมเป็น bubble chart ให้เห็นว่าวงกลมในแต่ละอันก็คือเป็นขนาดก็คือตาม population นะคะแล้วก็จะเห็นมัน move ขึ้นไปในทางนี้จากซ้ายล่างไปขวาบนก็คือหมายความว่าไงหมายความว่าเอ่อผู้คนในแต่ละประเทศเนี่ยมันก็ move ไปในทาง direction เดียวกันก็คือตายช้าแล้วก็มีตังค์ใช่ปะก็คือ income ก็เยอะขึ้นแต่ว่ามันก็จะมีประเทศที่ move เร็วกว่าประเทศอื่นๆคุณก็จะเห็นว่าพวกแอฟริกาที่เป็นสีน้ำเงินเนี่ยก็จะค่อนข้าง move ช้านะคะอะไรที่เป็นอเมริกันหรือว่ายุโรปซึ่งเป็นสีเหลืองสีน้ำสีอะไรอะสีเหลืองสีส้มสีเขียวอะไรพวกนี้มันจะ move เร็วกว่าเนาะหรือแม้แต่เอเชียบางอันก็หลังๆก็จะ move ค่อนข้างเร็วนะคะของไทยก็จะอยู่ประมาณแถวๆนี้แหละนะคะก็ตรงกลางๆแรกๆก็ไปเร็วพอๆกับมาเลพวกเซาท์โคเรียนะแต่หลังๆก็จะช้ากว่าเนาะก็ประมาณนี้แต่ว่าสุดท้ายแล้วเขาก็จะมีพันช์ไลน์เนาะที่ว่าทุกประเทศเนี่ยจะไปขวาบนได้ นะคะโดยใช้อะไรนะ Green Technology Aid แล้วก็เทรดเนาะแต่ตอนนี้ก็เกิดสงครามใช่ป่ะเพราะฉะนั้นถ้าเราสรุป breakdown ของ Hans Rosling อาจารย์ฮันเนี่ยเพิ่งเสียไปเนาะเมื่อประมาณ5 ปีที่แล้วนะคะ breakdown presentation นะคะ what does he attract เนาะ he hooks us with the uh, uh, what do we need to know about life expectancy and income and then he perform using all the country right the relationship between these two features and immediately draws us by pointing out that countries perform differently make us curious about what happens then นะ then he used animation to engage us for the progress over the course of 200 years and he also walked through us to the journey with some highlight of the key historical events such as the Spanish flu such as the World War right and then he conclude with the punchline that say we are becoming the entirely new converging world with the aid trade แล้วก็ green technology แล้วก็ peace นะคะอันนี้ก็คือสิ่งที่เป็นเขาเรียกว่า top classic เนาะ presentation the best thing นะ that you can have นะก็อันนี้ก็เป็นตัวอย่างที่หลายๆคนใช้ในการเล่าเรื่องที่ดีมากๆนะคะ กูรูของเราสตีเฟนพีบอกว่า numbers have important story to tell they rely on you to create or to give them a clear and convincing tone นั่นเองค่ะแล้วก็ seven type of data story เนาะก็คือมี change over time deal down อะไรพวกนี้เนาะก็คือคุณไปกดดูเองได้ครูคงไม่พูดอะไรเยอะก็คือเป็นตัวอย่างของประเภทของ data story ที่ Tableau เขาแนะนำเช่น data story ที่ change over time แน่นอน change over time ก็คือใช้ chronological ใช้เวลามาพูดนะคะอันนี่ก็เป็นตัวอย่างเนาะก็คือแต่บางลิงก์เนี่ยมันจะเข้าไม่ได้ละลิงก์พวกเนี้ยมันจะเข้าไปที่ Tableau Public นะแต่ว่าบางอันจะเข้าไม่ได้เพราะว่ามันค่อนข้างเก่าแล้วอันนี้ก็จะโชว์ injury crisis ของทีมอาร์เซนอลนะคะ second one is about drill down ก็คือ from big picture and drill down to the detail of the picture in this case they shows about Simpson เนาะ Simpson ก็เขาก็โชว์ overall Simpson มีกี่เอพิโซดแต่ละเอพิโซดdrill down แล้วมีใครมาแสดงเป็นแขกรับเชิญอะไรพวกนี้บ้างนะคะแล้วก็จะมีไซคลิสต์อะไรที่เรียกว่า zoom out คือ from the small point that audience care for example ไซคลิสต์ก็คือตัวคนทำเองแล้วก็มองในภาพใหญ่ก็คือ big picture ก็คือเป็นทั้งเมืองแวนคูเวอร์ว่าการใช้จักรยานเป็นยังไงบ้างค่ะ contrast ก็คือมีสองอย่างที่มันแตกต่างกันก็จะเปรียบเทียบนะคะสองอย่างเช่นในนี้ก็คือเขาจะเปรียบเทียบว่าพีระมิดเอาไปเทียบกับเอ่ออะไรอะ building ที่ใหญ่พอพีระมิดพวกเบิร์จคาลิฟาพวกอะไรเงี้ยแล้วมันเทียบกันแล้วเป็นยังไงบ้างค่ะintersection ก็คือเหมือนกับมีของสองสิ่งที่มันชิฟเข้าไปแล้วก็มีการเข้าหากันแล้วก็มีสิ่งที่แตกต่างกันเนาะอันนี้เขาใช้การเลือกตั้งในอเมริกานะคะเป็นเดโมแครตกับริพับลิกันว่าสองอันเนี่ย policy มันต่างกันแต่ว่ามันก็มีส่วนที่มันโอเวอร์แลปกันด้วยนะคะแล้วมันโอเวอร์แลปกันตรงไหนบ้างนะคะอันนี้ก็จะเป็นแบบ factor คือโชว์ให้เห็นว่าtotal เป็นแบบนี้นะแล้วถ้ามองย่อยเป็น type หรือ category เป็นยังไงนี่ก็ใช้เรื่องของ species ใน planet Earth นะว่ามีกี่ประเภท species แล้วแต่ละ species เป็นยังไงบ้างก็โฟกัสไปทีละ species แล้วก็อันนี้เป็น outlier ก็คือเน้นโชว์ outlier ก็คือโชว์ anomaly นั่นเองนี่เขาก็โชว์เรื่องของซันต้าว่าเวลาตอนคริสต์มาสซันต้าไปที่ไหนบ้างปรากฏว่าพอโชว์เนี่ยส่วนใหญ่ซันต้าจะไป northern hemisphere ก็คือข้างบนใช่ไหมข้างบนของเส้นศูนย์สูตรเป็นหลักเอ๊ะทำไมซันต้าไม่ไปข้างล่างอันนี้ก็เป็น outlier ที่มันประหลาดนะคะโอเคเราสามารถเข้าไปลองดูได้เนาะก็คือจริงๆแล้วเนี่ยในทับโ e เนี่ยเขาจะมีตัวที่เรียกว่าเป็นทับโ e พับ l ิ c ให้คุณลองเข้าไปดูลองเสิร์ชดูทับโ e พับ l ิ c อันเนี้ยเป็นแพลตฟอร์มเป็นฟรีแพลตฟอร์มที่คนมาโชว์เคส their data and their dashboard or story ค่ะ get to Tableau Public ปุ๊บthis one so Tableau Public will have this which of the day ก็คือเขาก็จะโชว์เคสเขาก็จะเลือกมาว่าในแต่ละวันเนี่ยอันไหน visualization ไหนเจ๋งแล้วคุณก็สามารถกดเข้าไปดูได้นะคะบางอันเนี่ยสามารถโหลดทั้ง Data โหลดทั้งตัว Dashboard Story มาดูได้เลยคุณก็ดูได้ตรงนี้เขาจะมีว่าดาวน์โหลดอะไรได้บ้างเนี่ยอันนี้ได้หมดเลยเนาะได้ Data ก็ได้นะคะได้ออกมาเป็น PowerPoint ยังได้เลยได้ออกมาเป็น Tableau Workbook ก็คือสมมติเราเข้าไปดูแล้วชอบอยากทำอย่างนี้ได้คุณก็ไปดูว่าเขาให้ทำ Tableau Workbook ไหมคุณก็โหลดมาแล้วก็ดูวิธีการสร้างเขาเรียนแบบได้นะคะก็ค่อนข้างดีเนาะเนี่ยเขาก็มีหลายๆคนมาโชว์เคสบางคนก็สวยดีทำส่วนใหญ่เนี่ยจะทำสวยๆเนี่ยก็คือต้องแบบวางไม่ได้ถ่ายเลยส่วนใหญ่เป็น floating เพราะบางทีเนี่ยมันจะมีพวกแบ็กกราวน์เนาะที่อยากทำให้มันสวยๆอย่างเงี้ยนะคะสุดท้ายเนาะ insight generation ก็คือthe what so what and now what this is the model that offer the practical framework for reflecting various aspects in our life leading to learning leading to growth and then improve decision making so in our case to generate a good insight we need to ask three things what is the facts what are the summary this is the result of the analysis right this is what we already got from doing the graph doing the dashboard or pivot table but we need to ask deeper to synthesize things this is called asking so what mean why should we care about this result นะเช่นเราบอกว่าเฟอร์นิเจอร์มันตกprofit ตกก็เนี่ยนี่คือแฟกต์นะนี่คือ what ใช่ป่ะแต่เราต้องสนใจไปมากกว่านั้นแล้วตกแล้วเกิดอะไรขึ้นใช่ไหมทำไมต้องแคร์ถ้า profit ตกก็เดี๋ยวก็ overall บริษัทก็รายได้ก็ไม่ดีแล้วก็กำไรก็จะแย่ไปเรื่อยๆอย่างนี้ก็ทำให้กำไรเนี่ยไม่มีเราอาจจะขาดทุนแล้วก็สุดท้ายบริษัทก็เจ๊งได้นี่ก็คือ so what ใช่ป่ะ then now what is where you identify your action and recommendation ก็คือว่าโอเครู้ว่าถ้าปล่อยไปอย่างเงี้ยบริษัทจะเจ๊งเราจะต้องทำไง what are the desired result that you need to take the action what you need to do in the future to improve the future outcome to obtain the desired result this is the now what นะคะนี่คือ how to generate the insight ค่ะทีนี้ how to communicate this is more of the things that we talk about storytelling แหละแต่ว่าอันนี้ก็คือมาย้ำให้เป็นหลักการอีกทีหนึ่งว่าโอเคจะ narrate the story actually we have story arc นะคะ story arc is from Aristotle เนาะ believed to have introduced this idea of three act beginning middle แล้วก็ end beginning is like we introduce the plot we create the context for the audience and then we let the audience know why should they pay attention to our story right? And the middle develop that we develop by giving the example by include the data by demonstrating the problem what could happen if no action taken and then we get to the climax in the middle after that we call to action that ends our presentation or the resolution and we make it clear that what do you want the audience to do to help us to solve that problem นะคะนี่คือ story arc เนาะโอเคเส้น so the flow of of ordering your story อาจจะเป็นผ่านแบบ chronological เหมือนที่เราบอกก็คือเริ่มจาก problem gather data analyze data finding แล้วก็ recommend action นี่คือปกติทั่วไปก็เป็นอย่างนี้เนาะแต่ว่ามีอีกวิธีหนึ่งก็คือ lead with ending ก็คือ call to action first supporting point 1 2 3 4 5 and then etc. อันเนี้ยอันที่เป็น lead with ending เนี่ยมักจะถูกใช้ในพวก pitching หรือว่าพวกTED Talk อะไรพวกนี้เราจะมักจะเห็นแบบขวาเนาะหลักการหลักก็คือเขาบอกว่าต้อง repetition repeat your idea นะคะ on your solution on your introduction on your main content and then your conclusion bing bang bongo ก็คือซ้ำๆซ้ำๆซ้ำๆก็คือทำให้ user เนี่ยสามารถเปลี่ยนจาก short term to long term memory ได้ก็คือทำให้เขาจำในสิ่งที่เราพรีเซนต์ได้พอเขาจำปุ๊บเขาก็จะได้ไปเกิดแอคชั่นได้นะคะนี้สำหรับพวกเราอาจจะบอกว่าเราไม่รู้จะยังไงจริงๆแล้วตัวโปรเจกต์ Canvas ก็เรียงมาให้อยู่แล้วเนาะก็คือคุณมักก็ state with problem นะ objective ของคุณคืออะไร question คืออะไรมี key metric อะไรบ้างจะ analyze ยังไงมีโมเดลอะไรที่ใช้เจอ finding เกิดอะไรขึ้น insight คืออะไรแล้วสุดท้ายก็ recommendation คืออะไรอันนี้จริงๆก็เป็นสเต็ปที่คุณสามารถใช้ในการพรีเซนต์ก็ได้อยู่แล้วนะโดยที่คุณไม่ต้องคิดอะไรมากใช่ปะ So conclusion we have customized dashboard and story to address the specific question and insight using Tableau we incorporate action into interactivity and the dynamic dashboard to drive information to drive decision making and then we develop understanding about how do we tell your story with data how to generate insight with what now what and so on and then how to generate your story in a flow ค่ะก็วันนี้ก็ประมาณนี้เนาะเลยเวลาค่อนข้างเยอะเดี๋ยวสำหรับควิสเดี๋ยวครูตั้งควิสไว้ให้ถึงพรุ่งนี้แล้วกันเนาะให้เวลาเราทำถึงพรุ่งนี้เที่ยงคืนแล้วกันเนาะจะได้มีเวลาทำนิดนึงนะคะก็เพราะว่ามันควิสค่อนข้าง10 ข้อนิดเยอะเยอะนิดหนึ่งเนาะคุณไม่ต้องทำวันนี้นะคะก็แต่ว่าจะมีการบ้านที่5เป็นการบ้านสุดท้ายแล้วแหละนะคะการบ้านที่5นะโอเคการบ้านที่5ตัวนี้ก็คือวันนี้เราทำแดชบอร์ดเนาะก็ให้คุณทำแดชบอร์ดก็คือหน้าที่คุณก็คือสร้างแค่1 interactive dashboard เท่านั้น just one เนาะ in your move account detection นะคะแล้วก็ provide brief นิดนึงนะก็คือเป็น short memo explain what you try to give the audience in your dashboard what is your audience ใช่ไหมคุณต้อง define audience ก่อนคุณก็เขียนมาว่า audience ของคุณคือใครที่จะมาดูแดชบอร์ดตัวนี้เป็น CEO หรือเปล่าหรือว่าเป็นนายกรัฐมนตรีอะไรอย่างเงี้ยก็ได้นะหรือว่าเป็นทีมฟลอตของคุณอันนี้ก็ขึ้นกับว่าออเดียนคุณคือใครอยากให้ใครมาเห็นนะคะใครเป็นคนมอนิเตอร์นะคะแล้ว objective หลักคืออะไรแล้วก็สุดท้ายแล้วแดชบอร์ดเนี่ยมันตอบปัญหาคุณได้ยังไงแล้วเขาจะดูยังไงสมมุติว่าเขาเป็น CEO ของเป็น Bank of Thailand เนี่ยถ้าเขามาดูแดชบอร์ดของคุณแล้วเขาต้องเริ่มดูตรงไหนอย่างเงี้ยแล้วแดชบอร์ดตัวนี้มันบอกอะไรเนาะอันนี้ก็คือเขียนมาเป็นช็อตเมโมนะคะ1 หรือ 2 หน้าก็ได้นะคะก็คือในช็อตเมโมคือบอกว่าจะ navigate แดชบอร์ดยังไงก็ insight ที่ได้จากตัวแดชบอร์ดหรือก็ฟิลเตอร์เนี่ยมันคืออะไรนะคะก็ submit มาเป็น Tableau ไฟล์เนาะก็แล้วก็จริงๆแล้วไอ้ตัว analysis bit มันใส่ใน Tableau ก็ได้นะแต่คุณจะใส่แยกมาก็ได้เป็น PDF เนาะเพราะฉะนั้นคุณต้องส่งมา2 ไฟล์คือแดชบอร์ดที่เป็น Tableau TWX กับ analysis bit ที่เป็น PDF นะคะอันนี้ก็คือ homework 5นะคะ 2 weeks เนาะก็คือ6 April นะคะ6 April น่าจะเป็นวันจักรีใช่ไหมมันจะเป็นวันหยุดเนาะแต่ว่าวันที่7เรามีคลาสอยู่ยังมีคลาสอยู่ใช่นะคะยังมีคลาสอยู่ที่7นะคะโอเคประมาณนี้แล้วก็อย่าลืมไปทำควิสละกันนะคะแล้วก็ส่งกันบ้านส่วนตัววิดีโอเดี๋ยวครูจะดูแต่ละคนเนาะเดี๋ยวครูกำลังให้พี่ทีเอเขารวบรวมลิงก์อะไรพวกนี้ก่อนนะคะแล้วก็เดี๋ยวครูจะเช็คนะคะตรวจแต่ละคนแล้วก็เดี๋ยวจะให้คอมเมนต์ไปให้นะคะเผื่อจะปรับปรุงอะไรเพิ่มเติมให้ได้ดีขึ้นนะคะประมาณนี้มีคำถามไหมเอ่ย